Good morning, guys. Welcome to this Thursday, July 30th. Last two trading days of July, today and tomorrow. And then we're starting off next week in August. And boy, do we need a break from these last 2 weeks of selling. And the Nasdaq has been nothing but obnoxious. Driving is lower, running stocks is lower than you would expect them to be. And it is nothing but brutal. So today we got a fair amount of news this morning. We got the GDP read, first read of the second quarter. We have jobless claims at 8:30, personal income and outlays, and that would be an inflation read. So all that stuff happening at 8:30 this morning. GDP, jobless claims, personal income, all happening right at 8:30, and that's pretty much it for news for today. We also had some tech earnings come out yesterday. You can see Meta is down $58. Microsoft is up 38. So I guess it was a mixed bag there. But man, that was something. So big tech earnings coming out. Obviously, they don't like whatever Meta said. And for us, we're looking at it. We have a slight little bit of a recovery going on, I think. But unfortunately, I will not just get too excited about it just yet because we had these overnights. Every overnight trades up like this. So it looks like there's some buying in the overnight and then they hammer it in the day session. So I don't know if that pattern is going to change or not. The EES took out some key support, ran it right down here to the support area at the 73.45s and then some. Look at how they blew through those last levels late in the session yesterday. That was in end period, and they absolutely knocked the crap out of it. But that, I mean, and remember what that looked like. So I had the Kevin Worthing come out, and then we were up here. We were up at the height of the session at 74.80s, and then from there, from noon or from 3 o'clock, the whole thing just came undone all the way down there. And we went halfway down the day, and then all the way to the bottom of the day, and then take out the low, and then some. So that was nothing but spectacular. And if you could get on that one and trade, that would be awesome. But that was pretty brutal trading, and it's difficult to get on and stick on it. Volatility was off the charts at that point. So we were down here bouncing against this 73.45 to 50s, and so far they hold. The first time to it held. It was not completely unexpected, but if they run down here, retest that. That's where the test comes. I would not be surprised if we see a run down here to test these 73.45 to 50, maybe even lower, but to test these lower support areas and see if they're going to hold or not. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm still thinking short side of the market, even if the overnight looks pretty good. So I'm looking to sell strength until they get up above these two areas, the 74.20 and the 30s. If they can get up above these two areas, I would be a lot more interested in, or I would take off the short bias and go back more range bound on the ES. But man, yesterday was pretty brutal, and it probably had to do with the tech earnings coming out as well, how that reacted. But the tech earnings didn't come out until after they closed, so that would be your P period, P and Q here. That would be those two half hours. But pretty brutal. So watch these two areas, the 74.20s and 30s. If they can trade up above that, taking off the short bias and going back range bound. Otherwise, looking to get short against 74.05s, 74.20, 74.30. Right now, they've been grinding this higher. And when I started looking at this, they were down here. They were just here at the 73.90s, taking it a little bit higher since. So yeah, there's some overnight buying going on, but as I said, it's so far the day session has been it's start ticking and then you just hammer it. And I don't think we'll see if today's going to be the same, but there's no reason to doubt the pattern until it changes. And I think the change will come. I mean, we have 2 more days in July, so. Eventually, we may get a little bargain hunt rally in at before the end of the month. That would be today or late today or tomorrow. That would be basically indicating that people want to get in on some position going into the next couple of quarters for potential performance requirements. In other words, they sell off a bunch of stuff going into the end of the month, and at the very end, they put on these positions they want to have performed throughout the next month. So. who knows what it's going to be like, but there's a shot for a rally going into the close of the month. I would take that with a grain of salt right now. Well, it looks pretty gnarly right now, but you know how quickly things can change in the futures markets. So and on the way down, looking to buy against support, not going to be very aggressive on it at all. Buying against the 73.80s, 65s, 55s, 45s, 30, 35s, down to the 20s, rotations back up. So this is like 350, 400 points, like 5-6% down on the ES. And all right, it's starting to feel, it's starting to hurt. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But let's watch the early morning trading. If the overnight is going to be the same as it has been the same as before, they're going to take it a bit higher and then hammer it. And I would not be surprised. I would almost count on a retest of this low, on the lows of the session, at least down here at the 73.30s, 40, 30, 40, 50s, these three support areas. At least down in those areas early on here to retest these levels and see if they can take it lower or not. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. On the Nasdaq, we're looking at the those are in the toilet. You know, that's it. We're still very much in this price discovery area to the downside, and we'll see. There so far, the overnight has been pretty good in terms of lifting it higher, but again, same story there. They take it higher in the overnight, looks pretty good, and then they hammer it in the day session. And the only relief I can see is really if if we may have an end of the month rally just because they run it so much lower. That the institutions may be wanting to put on positions on these beat up stocks, expecting that they're going to be a nice little recovery in them in August, maybe September. So that would be the reason for it. But it's so into the end of the month, they're still hammering it, and we're still staying on the short side until we get a little bit more action on this. That's going to be up there. A little bit more actionable information. There's my Nasdaq now. There it is. So if they can get up above the 28,200s again, and the 28,450 to 500s, those are the two resistance areas. It's going to be key for them to be able to recover anything. Below those two, we're still leaning towards the short side, watching it. If they start running it higher, and you can see the day session starts getting some traction, by all means, trying a long trade at that point would be worth the effort. But I would just wait for them to try to take it lower again. I would not be surprised if that happens. And just to retest these lows. But Nasdaq is the one which has been driving us lower, and Nasdaq is the one which potentially could drive us higher as well, move us higher. So I would look to sell strength on the Nasdaq at this early on here. They already took out that 610, 615. So let me see here. I'm dragging it down. It's not as responsive as I would like it, but let's see. So on the way down, I would not be super aggressive buying it. The ones I would consider would be down here at the early levels, 640s, 600s, 550s, 500s, 420s, down to that 330, 340s. Below the 330, 340s here, if that comes out that lower on the session lows, bets are off, guys. This could get even worse. So it's you never know. They always run it harder than you think. You think they you know how far they're going to run it, but some of these tech stocks, like Micron, for instance, SanDisk, those guys, high flyers, they've been cut in half. 50% retracement on those. 50%. And you can imagine people putting a lot of work and money to work there at the $900,000 range, even higher, finding themselves now massively in the hole. So tough stuff. You think you have a good opportunity, but find yourself right back to break even again. And on the way up, I would look for short setups against the 27,830s, 900s, up to the 27,950s, maybe even a little bit higher. Up to that 950s is probably the level to pay attention to. So up to that 950 level. And if they start taking out that 27, what is it? This 27,950. It's going to be this guy right there. So when that level comes out, I think we have a shot at running this higher, but you can watch it. We have a couple of levels here, 28,000. If you can get up and stay above 28,000, we have 2 day sessions so far running into resistance there. I think we may have a shot at turning this around. And it gives us a couple of 100 points before we even get to resistance, the key resistance area on the F1. So Nasdaq kind of crazy. I probably had to sit on the sidelines a little bit there until it calms down a bit. But if it looks like it does now, a little grind like this, a grind to the upside, those are tradable. Just have to have the wherewithal to try to get on a trade there. You never know when you're going to get run over, but if it starts pulling back like a little bit, you try a long trade and maybe repair it once before you give up. But the problem with the Nasdaq is that sometimes you get a little run and then you get twice the run to the downside. So it's much harder to get in than you think when it's moving like this. Because you don't want to chase it, and you don't want to, because you chase it, you get really bad trade location. And if you get in on a pullback, you have the tablet and you have the first or you have the true range here below it to lean against. Those gives you getting close to those gives you at least a better shot at fixing a trade if it goes against you. If it keeps going against you, I should say. But both these and Nasdaq look like they're trying to take it higher now going into the session. You have to that big caveat that they've been doing that for several days now, and then as soon as you get into the day session, you get a little bit of slop, and then they hammer it. So we'll see how the whole thing's going to develop. Looking at the bonds. Trading back up, recovering a little bit. The bonds got hammered yesterday. That was a pretty ugly one. Unusual to see this much range in the bond, but that was after the announcement late in the session. That whole thing came apart. All the way down to the 108s. Not great, but so we have taken out that key support area right now. If you wondered, we have blown through this one, taking out the lows of that. And we may be in a spot between price discovery to the downside on the bond. So far, they're retracing it. We'll see how the day session kicks in and stays active, how it's going to develop in the day session. But so I would stay on the short side, still on the bonds, looking to sell strength. But given this move to the downside, there may be an opportunity for a retracement trade up, retrace it at least up to that 110 level. So it could be a long trade in here, retracing some of this move late in the session yesterday, but I would be cautious about it. I'm still standing short side, looking to sell strength against the 109 16s, 20s, 25s, and the 110s for rotations back down again. On the long side, looking to buy against the 109 8, 109 1, or 108 26s for rotations back up again. So those are the levels, but I would favor the short side to get started on the bonds at this point at least. And then finally, cryptos. Not a whole lot to say about them this morning. Oil is kind of staying down in the 83 range. Okay, not too crazy. We'll see what they do here. They how this whole thing develops over the weekend. The Bitcoin is showing a little bit of life, up to 64.8. Maybe if we get up to about 65, I'll get more excited. But it's the same story on those as we had it before. Pretty much running back and forth. Gold is not the darling anymore. They're down at 4,000. They've been below 4,000 now. So gold kind of losing its luster for a little bit. Silver, same story there, up at 58. Silver is still pretty good shape. I mean, they were down at the 20s for a long time. So then they tripled here, and they're kind of holding on to those gains. So that's kind of where we are. No trades on those for in the overnight here for me. So I'll point out if I see something interesting on those Coinbase cryptos. And I also released the website yesterday, or I released it a few days earlier, and I sent out an email about it. So, and I sent something to you guys as well. But you can check that out and let me know what you think. I'm going to be adding a lot more video content. At least I redo videos and stuff like that. Hopefully add more content, more resource videos in there as well. Anyway, we'll wrap it there, guys. So let's see how this all develops. So we're getting a strong overnight. I'm still leaning short on both ES and NASDAQ. We'll see if this overnight turns into something. The only opportunity would be late in the session here or late in the month, basically a little mountain rally, but we'll see if that happens or not. But we got news coming out in about 10 minutes. That would be the jobless claims, the PCE, and the GDP read. So let's see what that does and how the market reacts. All right, guys, we'll wrap it there. So good trading. I'll see you back at 11:30 for the next update, and I'll see you back then. Later.